Hello once again YouTube, Chris and I here bringing you some StarMade Newt and Fleetworks, and today we are showcasing the industrial ships, the battlecruisers, and the battleships of the Caldari race, one of the 4-playable races in EVE Online. Here I am sitting in front of a Badger, which is a ship that you may recognize if you've been here for a while. This is a ship that I tried building a very long time ago, and I got pretty far along with the actual hull, and then the file corrupted itself, and I lost it forever. Now, it was totally, repairable. I could have built it again, but I decided that with my new importing of the models and whatnot, I'd get a more accurate build if I just waited until I was ready to try and take on the actual SMETA import, which I have here. And you will see that the Badger is similar to the two other industrial ships that the Caldari possess, or the two other ship models. This right here is the model for the Tyra and the Crane. Very similar, although obviously much larger in terms of its cargo capacity. And then we have the Bustard, which is even larger still. Pretty interesting design, not as crazy as some of the other ones that we have seen. Certainly not as diverse or as large as the Galente ones, or even maybe the Yamarian ones, I'm not sure. But yeah, there are the industrial ships for the Caldari race. That was quite quick that we got through all of those, but now we're going to move on to the battlecruisers. And this is where the Caldari, I believe, really start to shine in terms of where their design philosophy comes from. You can quite clearly see that these ships will be intended for military purpose and military purpose only. There is no mistake when you see these coming at you that this is a warship fitted with death or something along those lines. And, of course, the best technology that money can buy. So here we have the Ferox, which is it's pretty well-known Caldari ship, pretty well-known Caldari design. Not something I'm particularly fond of. I actually quite dislike it because it breaks away from the design of the battlecruisers, in my opinion, so much from the others. The general aesthetic, right? We have a very busy hull with lots of different shapes, lots of structures, and it's not really a uniform piece. It's broken up into, like, the engines are back here, and then there's this wing thing, and then there's this large bulky front end with engines on the side and stuff, and a big pipe underneath, of course, so as we take a look at the other two battlecruisers, you'll see what I mean. They're a lot more simple, they're a lot more straightforward, and I think they don't kind of bullshit us into thinking that there's something more to Caldari ship than just its function, which really there isn't. There's not supposed to be. So here we have the Drake, which is the most hated and loved battlecruiser of all time, it seems, because every single time somebody goes out on a fleet op in EVE, they say, "Hey, fleet commander, can I bring my Drake?" And I don't know why. I think it's because this used to be a popular ship to fly in, and now it's not, for whatever reason, with regards to the game balancing and whatnot, or changes in general. But I always hear about people making jokes about the Drake and whatnot. But you can see that it's pretty straightforward, and it's come out very nicely with this model import, I must say. It'll be a quick project to get this thing cleaned up and ready for detailing and the wireframing and all that stuff. The interiors and whatnot, systems, etc. You can see the engines in the back here. Very streamlined, very angular. And that, to me, is what the Caldari are all about. As is the next ship, which is the Naga. Now, the Naga is a ship that you all, again, may remember. It is a ship that I tried building a very long time ago, during the beginnings of this project. And it's, in fact, what spurred the whole SMETA import process to begin with. This is my favorite battlecruiser. I love the design. It feels like a ship that is very well suited for StarMade's style, right? I just love it, in general. And of course, you may remember this, so there are some details that I probably won't point out now that you will have remembered from then, in that video, or those videos from back then. But yeah, it feels like it would have gigantic railguns or something, which is often the mistaken little fact about this thing. Everybody thinks that there's like big guns on this, but that's not how things operate in EVE Online, so there really is no gigantic railgun running down its length or something. Although that would be very cool, and, you know, is easily done. I mean, once I finish the hull, you guys are free to do that. Next, we are moving on to battleships, which are, of course, the largest ships that I'll be showcasing in these videos, these showcase videos, before we get to capitals. Each capital, if you don't already know, will have its own video whenever I manage to get around to it. I have the ideas of how I'm going to do them now. I've only done one capital showcase before, but I would like to do them again. They're just a pain in the butt because I gotta figure out how to film it and not melt my computer or melt my brain while I try and set up a nice visual overlay for when I render the video and edit it. Here is, of course, the Scorpion, a well-known battleship. Of course, all three battleships are well-known, the Caldari ones, but this is a Scorpion. You can probably tell why it's called the Scorpion, of course. And, yeah. In my opinion, it's like the ugliest battleship out of all three of them, and I hate it. I really do. I don't like it at all. Additionally, and I forgot to mention this in the last episode, a lot of the Caldari ships are named after birds. So we had things like the Blackbird, the Caracal, the Merlin, the Hookbill, which I didn't show, and I forgot to spawn that in. But they're all named after birds, and then there's these random oddballs that are not named after birds, such as the Scorpion. Here is the Raven. Now this is slowly becoming my favorite Caldari battleship. Not only because of its asymmetry, but the way it's pulled off. It's a nice asymmetry. People will probably hate me for saying that, because lots of people don't like asymmetry, but I love it, and I'll tell you why I love it. I love the shape and I love the idea behind some of these structures. And the reason is because if you come down here and you imagine that there's windows along this structure here, and let's say you're just looking out from this point of view, not only can you see this central section, but you can see the other antenna, which is hundreds of meters away. You can see the structure that you are a part of looming overhead. If you are on this side, you'll be able to see the asymmetrical wingy type of things on the side there. It's just a really awesome idea to have some structure like that on a ship, because oftentimes you get this really weird window placement where you... oh, I just spun. You get this really weird window placement where you can't really see much. I mean, you can kind of look up and down, you might get a glimpse of something from inside the ship. You might get a glimpse of some other part of the ship, but that right there, that, when you're inside of this ship and you've got so much to explore on the internals, and then you just turn around, you look out the window, and you see just how large the ship is, just by looking out the window. That, to me, is awesome. That's something you can't even experience in EVE Online, which is why I'm loving the idea of bringing it into StarMade and allowing you to experience it from a whole different perspective. And of course, last but not least, we have the Roke. Now this is a ship that I am clearly working on. Now it's been a while since I've worked on this. It's been quite a number of months actually since I've touched this design. And that's mostly because I do not own the ship in EVE, so I'm waiting until I actually buy it before I work on it. Otherwise I'm building ships that I have no experience with. Or building ships that I have no experience with. So, yeah, that's the level of detail I plan to get out on these larger ships. You can see all of those windows and all of those lights. Everywhere you see a window, there will be a room behind it. You will be able to look out a window, look out from each of these windows, from a unique room inside the structure of the ship. It's going to be one hell of a process trying to get that all done. But we'll just take a little flyby here of the side of this thing. You can see where the turret hard mounts are. Structures like that are where the turrets go. Overall, it's pretty goddamn awesome. Very strong ship. I very much like it. A lot of people hate it for some reason. I guess it's because it's so plain compared to the others, but I don't know. This still has quite a lot of detail when you get down to it. Just look at all the windows that I have to fucking make rooms for. Oh my, that's gonna be a project. So yeah, that is pretty much it I'm probably going to change the engines, but I'll give you a look at them right now. I'm not too satisfied with how these engines are turning out. They're too small and not powerful enough in terms of how they look. And I want them to look quite powerful, so that will definitely be changing as time goes on. I'll probably just make them glow. Quite large. Glowing circular engines or whatever. Also, it's quite early in the morning, so this episode and the last episode, I'm slurring my speech a lot, and I'm very tired, so I apologize. But yeah, just take a look at this. Oh, look at this. This part right here, this detail. Up here, we have turret mounts lining the top of this thing, and there's rooms underneath each of them, and I love it. There's like a little maintenance area for each of the turret hardpoints, which is pretty awesome. Despite their advanced technology, they still have quite a large number of crew members on board their ships, so it'll be easier to, you know, make up stuff for these ships as opposed to the other ones, because there will actually be things that need to be put in here for all the crew members that these ships are supposed to have. So that is it for the battleships, the battlecruisers, and the industrials of the Caldari race. And next up, we're moving on to the pirate factions and the other lesser-known factions of EVE Online. I'll probably start with something like a faction closely tied to the 4 races, and we'll do those first, and then we'll move on to the other factions that are a little bit more mysterious, and we'll do those towards the end of this showcase series. So, thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more, leave your feedback down below, and I will see you all next time.